You are welcome, Keshav.
Thank you, sir. You want to try another sitting on the same chair?
Yes, ये लगा लीजिए आप. इसको नहीं लगा. It is a matter of happiness to see. Last year, Keshav was sitting on that chair. आपसे पीछे जो चेयर था वहाँ पर बैठते थे और काफ़ी चने खाते थे और इनके जो है चने के जो छिलके पड़े होते थे और स्टाफ मेरे ऊपर गुस्सा करते थे, सर आप स्टूडेंट को बोलते क्यों नहीं हो. नहीं वापस नहीं, आप नीचे गिराते थे आप. राइट. सो एवरीथिंग इज हैविंग इट्स एक्सपीरियंस, राइट. We were having around 2 hours discussion on questions and analysis also. So my partner Manish Goyal, he was telling कि आप इतना टाइम क्यों लगाते हो एक स्टूडेंट के साथ. But that is all needed. In your case also that is all needed. So it is good time. And first I must ask some psychological questions. What you felt about your success after you got result, the time during first 1 month of success?
I think the point here is, maybe this one. It's finding, the point is, hi all of you. First of all, it feels good when you work hard and you see your name on the list, that your hard work paid off. But at the same time you realize it's just a milestone. The real journey starts now. So as I feel, I'm not the person who is very much elated about something if you achieve something, because I feel it's a journey, it's a milestone, but you have to achieve that milestone. So take it as they say in the Gita, I take it as a nishkam karma. So just keep doing your work. And what is the best part about the UPSC is the knowledge you get, right? The syllabus itself teaches you so much, whether it's ethics, whether it's a humanities, whether it's a society, that you itself become so confident that it does not really matter. I hope that all of you make it to the list, but it does not really matter whether you make it in the list or not. You can still get a good job, you can still start your business. I think I have a couple of examples to quote where I would not, maybe the failure in the UPSC, but they succeeded in business and they are running a unicorn company. So I think just pick up the knowledge, enjoy the journey. That's going to help you. If you're going to take it as just an exam oriented, it's really going to come as a burden on you. So I think that's what my learning, and that's what I did during my tenure. I enjoyed it. I generated a couple of interest. For the matter of fact, I was a knave to astronomy. When I read a couple of facts, I really didn't understand what astronomy is. And right now, I know really well. I can tell you everything with respect to the space happening and what are the limits, what is a Chandrasekhar limit and the black holes and gravitational waves. So if you start developing interest in the subject so that you can really attempt the questions very well.
Keshav, I want to ask a question that should we prefer interest or need of the exam? Because if we go by interest, we have to study a lot. We are prone to become subjective also. We are prone to get distracted also.
See, where here the guideline could be your past questions, right? They can give you a hint that where the line of the examiners draws out. To just give a hint, I think I followed it. I do not really recommend that. I just left the PGBP part of taxation, right? If you go to the past year questions, there's out of 40 years, there's just 3 questions, and that too a particular with respect to the deductions that come or not. So there you have to do a cost-benefit analysis. As we said, you have to do a smart, hard work. But when you're doing it, when you're reading a topic, you should understand it. Because there, if the questions come, then it should be a brownie for you. Right? I'm not going to miss this part.
So yes, let us ask question. What areas of commerce were left by you? You left PGBP. What other areas were left by you? Paper 1?
Paper 1, I think just the PGBP.
PGBP only?
Yeah.
Right. You said that you left income tax question also. So you are
That was my kind of preconceived notion that I feel right from, I'm a chartered accountant, right from the first, during my chartered accountancy tenure as well. I feel like getting the solution of tax question at the first attempt is really tricky. You might miss some adjustment or something. So that was my notion, and it was combined with the fact that there was a 25-mark theory question. I was looking at the other question where I was getting just 15-mark theory question. I'm inclined towards the practical questions in part 1. So there was a preconceived notion, but you should not have. You should develop your confidence that I'm going to make it. Develop your strategy with respect to tax questions. I think you can get it.
I want to ask one question. You got around 138 marks in paper 1.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Ritika got 165. You must have thought of the reason also. She's BCom and you are CA. You must have introspected that I should have got 180, 190 marks.
Yeah, when I was going through my marks, one of the things is, it was emotionally balanced as well, right? My condition was different to the fact that when I was writing GS exams and the essay exam, it was on a different classroom. When I came to the optional paper, it's a different classroom, sitting on the last bench, and that is a small bench as compared to my size, and it was small, so I couldn't keep my calculators and the scale, and I couldn't keep my answer sheet proper vertically. I have to keep it sideways. So it was an emotional balance. I broke there. In first 15 minutes, I just broke out. So there I have to recoup back and start with it. So there I missed something, and the fact that this is because, and I can say, this is the reason I missed 20 marks question, even I had time. Right. There was a question on credit ratings, right, with respect to how does the CRISIL do credit rating. I didn't attempt it, and I had time. I could easily write what is credit rating. I could have scored 1 or 2 marks more. So the emotional balance comes there, play a role. And second part, coming on to the attempting the questions, I think I missed practical, and like there comes the risk with the reward, right? I went with a practical question on capital budgeting. In the first attempt, I kind of solved it wrong, and there's a limited space, so I couldn't correct it. I couldn't make it again. So there I missed marks, and obviously the whole things happened like way that I couldn't attempt the theory as well. But there is a considerable concentration that you have to give to the theory as well in the paper 1, which on average comes more than 125 marks. I think more than 50% is almost theory.
You can ask your queries paper 1 if you have come up with your queries in paper 1. No query? Yes.
Last time पे जैसे revision का होता है ना, revision करने के लिए कैसे क्या strategy रखें, जैसे अभी से पढ़ते हैं, class के साथ पढ़ रहे हैं, last में जब वो
Last time revision, how to do that?
I'll start comprehensively for the commerce subject. Like when you start with respect to commerce, what you have to do is, in the first reading, you have to understand each and every topic, each and every line, right? What is written there in the notes, and comprehend with the questions, what is there in the questions at the back, so that you develop a wholesome understanding, right? So, for example, when you read OT book, so just do it for the OT, do it with OB, HR and IR. Then when you come to the again revision, right, when you're writing exam, then you will be doing the whole four parts together. Then again do this thing. When you're done with the twice revision, then it comes a point that you have to prepare for the exams, which is start making the notes. Right, so what you have to do is you have to make notes concised with picking the keywords. So to give you an example, for example, let's take a thinkers with respect to Max Weber, right? Bureaucracy. So it starts with what bureaucracy is, right? What are the 6 features of bureaucracy? What is the contribution? How does the efficiency comes, right, from the standards, from the rationality, right? What are the limitations? Just a couple of lines that it's a kind of learned incapacity, it's a red tapeism, it's a bug passing, right? And then solutions. So the entire thing ends up in 2 pages. When you revise it, revise the keywords, because you have developed understanding. When I'll be writing the keywords, for example, when you're writing the red tapeism, you can extend it to the meta you want. This entire exercise ends up into, I think, my notes ends up in the 1.5 register. All the 4 subjects. And this you can revise, I think, in 2 days. There are kind of suggestions where you can size up notes in very small amount. I don't agree to the fact that I think will it help you? Because I think the concepts has to be revised, the keywords has to be revised again and again so that you can go and just attempt it at the first meeting.
I'm getting one idea that you told that notes should be prepared after 2 readings.
2 revision, yeah.
2
That's for
revisions.
sure.
And many students prepare notes in the very first reading.
No.
I'm sure in very first reading it will take a lot of time, and you will be noting even unnecessary things. After 2 readings, you will come to the conclusion that which is more important, that need to be revised during examination days, and what is less important.
That's
Right.
for sure. And you have to do it. There is no alternative to it. Because when it comes to the last, fortunately, I got 5 days off. And this time also there's a 5 days off. I don't know next time there would be a 5-day off or not. So you have to come and revise coming after GS. You have to just prepare your mind for the commerce again. So note making is very much important. I would say it's an essential thing.
See, in paper 1, how did you manage theory part and numericals part, and presently also how you are managing it?
See, I'm a chartered accountant. I feel comfortable when it comes to the practical. And so what I do in practical is there's a formulas, right? There are formulas, there are key points that you should keep in mind whether it's come to WCM or costing. So just make a notes out of it. I think 20-30 pages sufficient for the five practical parts. 4 practical parts. 20-25 pages is sufficient for the key points. So you can just come and revise this 25 points, and I think make a list of questions with respect to every chapter, so that when you're going to the exam, you can practice 1 and 2 questions to get a hint दोबारा से कि हाँ इसमें था क्या. For example, when it comes to WDM, WCM, कि working capital में कैसे निकालते थे. So just to 1 and 2 questions, but before coming to that questions, I think you have to practice more than 100 questions WCM, and that too a couple of times. I don't know, as in you may be from the BCom background, so there you might need an extra practice. I'm not discounting your caliber on that front, but I think there comes a different questions, or because in CA there comes a high level questions, and I can recall right in 2013 this is an adjustment, like is this time process costing, and I know that this is the particular point that was there in this question, so I can recall that fact. On that basis, you need to revise, I think, 100 questions from each chapter, and that took a couple of times before preparing that list.
100 questions each chapter.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Okay.
I don't know, that's what I did because I had my CA material with me. So I practiced IPCC final questions and rankers questions, and then came to that list. So then I can have a confidence, right? I think you can go with the notes very well. It happens, like when I've done with the IPCC and final questions, when I'm doing rankers, I think I just see off 90% questions because I'm already practiced in my IPCC and final.
Done, definitely. Because we have covered questions from C Institute material and various materials.
I
to
remember.
The theory of paper 1.
Now, see, theory of paper 1 is it's a tricky part, I think, as far as I am concerned as well. See, there's a static part as well, and there's a understanding part as well. There are couple of things. So with respect to the static, you don't have any choice. You have to go and remember what does MM says, what does the Gordon says. You have to go and remember that fact.
Assumptions, what are the...
There's assumptions, there is a propositions, there is example of what we call as arbitration that you have to remember.
Merits, limitations.
Same things. And when it comes to the other things, for example, costing specifically, that's very much understanding topic. You have to understand what are the different costs, what does really matter. So there, the past year questions, I'm coming to this part that past year questions are must. If you have to develop an understanding in a topic, then you have to do past year questions. Specifically for the paper 2, if I'm getting 178 this time, this is because I practiced past year questions. Just by reading the Weber, you can't say what is the implications. Right? When it comes to the application part, the past year questions will help you in what way the questions can come. See, the material of paper 1 or paper 2 is sufficient in rankers. The ranker notes are sufficient. What really matters is how much you understood that part. Because questions are coming with respect to the applications. When it comes to the quality of work life, the merits are same, the features, determinants are same, the limitations are same. When it comes to QC, everything is same. It really matters how you put that part into the answers, how you basically manifest your answer. that there comes the understanding, right? If a question says that QWL is to make a work environment better and this will lead to a productivity, it's nothing. It's just the same thing. That it's a benefit for the employee as well as employer.
I want to give an example also. Recently we were discussing working capital management. In working capital management, I put a test that the success of the credit manager is appraised from the perspective of credit losses. If zero credit loss is there, he's very successful. Higher the credit loss, failure the manager. Put your viewpoint. So in this answer, really there was comparison between credit loss and contribution loss. And that is covered in your books. But understanding the demand or requirement of the question is very important. That's why past questions in both paper 1 also.
Exactly, paper 1 also.
Paper 2, theory
that
questions.
That will help you develop understanding of a topic, that what really it says. Because when you read once, I'm not saying this happens with everyone. This happens with me as well. I read the part and when I came to the past year questions, I was like, I don't know this answer. And when I came to sir again, isme to wohi to hai, advantages hai wo. And go, oh. So this helps you develop understanding.
I remember last year we were having 2-hour interaction on past year questions. So he was having a list of questions, right? We discussed. In many cases I was not having answer also. Later I sent solutions.
And there happened a chance as well, a question came directly with respect to the QW and I was like this question I'm going to do for sure.
Yes, many questions
they are repeated. Yes. If you go with the past question, motivation, there comes in that theories are integrated. That come in 15,
any
that come in 16.
Paper 1? Yes, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Any other query in paper 1? Yes.
So what is the role of current affairs in paper?
This is the point. This is my first point in the list that I was to talk about. Like when it comes to the paper 1 or when it comes to the paper 2, current affair is must. I was discussing that in the morning with my friend. Like management, I call paper 2 as a management. Like management is totally a current topic. It's not static. It's not your history. What examiner wants and what the questions comes is in the current. Why the exodus is happening in the IT companies. So what you need really is you just pick principles and the keywords from the thinkers or the static part. But what you need is application, which you get from the current affairs. You have to keep your eyes and ear open. Let me give you an example with respect to paper 1 and paper 2.
Give paper 1.
Paper 1.
Everyone has covered paper 1.
Paper 1 is, if you have covered audit, right? There is a lot of news happening with respect to auditor resignation, right? Like Deloitte resigned from PM Khaitan and PwC resigned from Anil Dhirubhai Ambani Group. So there you have to keep your eyes and open. It's not just GS questions. It is your paper 1 question as well. So they have to juggle your mind that they have resigned. And there comes the reason as well. Like in PwC, it was not a proper response to their observations. And it's Deloitte because there was an adverse opinion. So they have to keep your eyes open like this is the reason. And then how you're linking with the current affairs is SEBI then came after 1 week with the additional disclosures that the auditor has to make. They came with that you have to give additional disclosures when you are making an abrupt resignation. Apart from that, you have to complete audit. Right? Either complete audit or give a qualified report. You can't simply resign and just go away. Right? So this is the relevance of current topics. Now here you can relate your section 139 or 140. That these are the ways, this is the procedural impact, this is the substantive measures. So this is what you have to do. Right? That's what I'm saying, that there's on Thursday, if you're reading Hindu, Thursday there's an opportunity page comes. Right? There you get a very relevant material. Like with paper 2.
For paper 2 you get
very relevant material. Paper 1 you get in the business section. Paper 2, like there was Infosys is carrying out, it has a Lex platform for reskilling platform. There are new ways of motivation in the sense they are being sent to B schools, they are being sent to for foreign training and secondments, right? There if you come to the HRM part, then I think motivation part, your job is done. You scored 1 extra mark. And that's what I really did. Because I had an advantage that I was in KPMG. So I was very much aware with the current practices, what is going on. But you have to pick up that things from the newspaper and in and around. Because paper, I remember my paper, I think static part was just for the 100 marks. And 10 markers, like I was talking to sir, I was saying, sir, nothing came from the book. Because it was like red tapeism. Who prepares for it? Right? There is no direct answer to it. But what really matters is application. And when it comes to application, 1 is current. Second is your thinkers. If you take red tapeism, what comes to your mind? I think you have not read paper 2, Max Weber. But there is also a hint of red tapeism in paper 2 OB section in Greener growth model. So if you link the different subjects, right? If you mention that subject, you scored half mark extra. So cross-linking of concepts in whether it's paper 1 or paper 2, then you can fetch extra mark because you are giving a different perspective as well. Just go through, हाँ इसमें क्या था, how can I link with the management, how can I link with the motivation. Paper 1, paper 2 में है like there is this model, I remember, matrix organization, project organization. There we can easily do responsibility accounting. Right, so paper 1 and paper 2 gets kind of connected there.
Balance scorecard also. Yeah. Balance scorecard in cost counting and balance scorecard in performance appraisal.
If you're getting some bouncer, so just recall whatever you read, just write it. But it should be relevant. And third is diagrams. Wherever you get space, whatever you know, present in the diagram form. I remember I was writing a point and I was adding just this much page. And I'd drawn the bloated structure, this thing. So that even the examiner is not reading the point, he has to read.
Kesav, you are appearing this year also.
Yes,
what major change you are making in your strategy?
See, this time I had time because last time I started my commerce when I was done with prelims. Right, I was sitting in this class in the June 2018 batch. Right. And sir was like, you have a short time. And I said, sir, I will manage. And my classes came to 20th August. In 20th August, I was regularly attending the class. So I didn't have time. I just have to go with the notes and I have to revise them. But what I did, I make sure that I revise that note at least 8 times. So when I was there in the exam, the answers was coming very fast. So I had time, like I finished my exam 10 minutes before.
Paper 2?
Paper 2.
Right.
I finished 10 minutes before.
Right.
Even after the questions were bouncers where you have to make answer, red tapeism, benchmarking, and there are answers that you have to make. They are not direct answers.
So if you remember, I told one thing, revision very important. अगर आपको देखना पड़ा, सोचना पड़ा that what to write, lot of time would be wasted. You won't come to know that such a time is wasted.
Revision is very much important. Content, notes is sufficient. If you are done with the notes, like right now, I'm writing this time as well. So I have time and I can revise. I can recite my notes exactly right now.
Are you adding new content?
Surely. I have time, so what I can do is I have to add content, I have to pick up thinkers, I have to pick current affairs, because I focus very much on the current affairs because that's what examiner likes. Because he's not going to like an idea what the tailor has given in 1920. Right? He will like something which is relevant, something which he can connect with. So I'm adding current affairs, I'm Googling it, I'm reading newspapers, I'm talking to my friends in the organizations that what's going on. And I'm making a specific notes out of current affairs and specific terms. There are also specific terms which you can add. For example, we call it corporate democracy, right? So these terms attract the examiner that you're calling it.
Catchy words, fancy words.
Like in terms of motivation, last I've read is there's a motivation by giving you a creative titles. They give you
fancy
titles.
Fancy
they give
titles. You executive secretary.
Like crafters, genius. So
yes.
these types of terms, if you write it and with apostrophes, half mark is done.
Your queries in paper 2? Yes.
Is there any role of writing the quotes in the answers?
Quotes, right. Quotations.
Yeah, obviously. I think if you know, it's a very relevant because it's a management. If you know very relevant quotes, that it helps. But I think in starting or at end, because in the between you don't have time to quote that thing with respect to the management thing, right? In the initially or end, you can write if you have very relevant quote. It makes I have with respect to like, for example, to give just a hint, like the literate of 20th century is not someone who can read or write. Is someone who can learn and relearn. So it makes very much specific with respect to the skilling question comes, but it has to be very much relevant.
For example, change management. In change management, you can put this quote.
Yeah, change management like
learning
organization. It's not organization is not static. It's a living socio-economic being, as said by Drucker. So there you can quote. There is a quote by Kilcardley and there in IR. There are quotes by V.V. Giri and other things, Alexander Frey. There you can obviously quote. It has to be very much relevant. It's not GS paper. Make sure. Otherwise, you can end with that's one thing. Here you can end with the current changes, current affairs that's happening about, like current organization they are doing with this. Use Google I am Big Force. I'm from the KPMG. I can replace KPMG with the Deloitte and with the PwC and with the EY. So you can use these names like they are doing with the best practices, and then this can give you an examiner hint. He knows about the current affairs, what's going on. End with the current affairs in the management if you're not getting anything.
Yes, your query. Yes.
For diagrams in paper 2, did you beforehand prepare some diagrams like supposedly chapter-wise or maybe subject-wise, like for IR or maybe?
No, I think in this respect, I'm saying when you're making a notes, make sure that with notes there is a diagram. If you make a diagram a separate thing, then you won't be able to recollect soon that this relates to this diagram. So when you're making a notes, draw a diagram over there, flowcharts over there. For example, there is a structures chapter. There is maybe in HRM there's action research and other diagrams, QCs. So make diagrams there only when you're making notes, so that you can recall when you're writing answer immediately that this is the diagram I have to draw. Don't make it a separate, because
His query is, do you prepare diagrams in advance or create on the spot in examination hall? This is your query?
If you if
Prepared it like in advance, like even within the notes, one way of making it, and otherwise, like what sir said, did you have them prepared and did you apply them in the test and everything?
Exactly. There's a diagrams in the chapters with respect to flowcharts and other things that you have to prepare so that you can. Other things is you can spontaneously develop diagram, like just understanding it. Just draw flowcharts. Then do star.
Red tapeism last time when the question was there, did you put any diagram in a 10 marker?
I don't remember the exact questions, but I certainly would have. I don't remember. I think I put in the red tapeism some diagram with respect to the green year wala. I just put the diagram. Wherever I get chance, I just put diagram, because it makes your answer catchy.
Means diagram should be put.
It should be, so that as I said with respect to the quotes, it has to be very relevant. But with respect to diagrams, even if hint is there, just draw it in the small space.
And for current affairs, there's one list that sir gives before meetings. Okay, so that list is I think 30-40 pages for paper 2 specifically. So I have current affairs for paper 1 also, because financial markets.
Exactly.
That is one specific static portion is defined in the syllabus. Okay, that capital market, primary, secondary, and everything. And then the current affairs. So how did you go about that financial market portion of paper 1 and current affairs? You're saying that reading opportunities page, that means that is something which aspirant has to prepare
Simultaneously.
I mean, you can't prepare after prelims.
Exactly.
Specifically, right, that portion of the paper. So the notes that sir gave, did you read them?
Yeah, I read them, and I think I picked maybe 10 points. I picked 10 points and added it to my notes there only, so that I can recall them then and there only. I need not to again go to the notes, because I feel like when you pick different pages, it's a burden on you. You just add a couple point file like motivation, like creative titles, done. That whole paragraph is done. You not to read it again.
So separate notes you prepared for current affairs, or
Just add it in your notes.
within the static portion notes?
You just added like this is the current happening. I just to quote it, like diversity is being very much discussed. There was an opportunity page that SOCHAM had a award with respect to the inclusion cum diversity. Just add it in a diversity, like this is happening.
Recently Zomato also.
Zomato, like the food has no religion. Just add it in the diversity thing that this is the Zomato has this kind of policy. Just add it there and then finish it off. Just don't keep increasing your things to read. It's there.
More queries in paper 2.
In optional question, are you putting two questions from the OTOB part or from the HRI part?
Yeah, it's about how well you know. That I said like the past year question was there, which I know very well. So I freezed it that this question I'm going to do. It's about how comfortable you are with respect to the questions. I was more comfortable with OTOP, but I ended up attempting HR ke 2 questions, because I felt comfortable over there. It's you can't go with a preconceived notion that I'm going to attempt it.
Means your
Please don't do it.
strategy would be finally decided in examination hall.
Exactly.
You may
Go
get,
open-minded, like where I can score, I'm good with. It's a direct question.
And
Go with it.
what I suggest is when you prepare paper 2, particularly our notes, you don't make choice of subject, make choice of subtopics within the subject. We have triple tick mark, double tick marked and single tick marked item. If you want to leave something, leave C and cross marked items, your 20% of the syllabus would be left. So don't leave any major area. So cover everything. And in the examination hall, on the spot, you will be able to make strategy. In paper 1, you can make strategy in advance also. For example, if you are not feeling comfortable with the text numericals, as Kesav done, so छोड़ दीजिए इसको. In examination, compulsory numerical question won't be asked. So paper 1 strategy is feasible. Paper 2, you can't make such a strategy. Cover comprehensively. You can leave single tick mark and cross marked items.
Please go open-minded. I think the questions comes very unpredictable. Sometimes in the paper 2, the language of the question is something that you can't easily understand. There, if you go with a preconceived notion, you are caught.
Mm-hmm. Now, one important question: how did you manage your GS preparation and commerce preparation?
So this is where I lagged. Because I started commerce after prelims, so I have to devote time in commerce. That's mandatory. I used to spend 6 hours coming here in Karol Bagh from Dwarka. Then I have to go and revise that particular day what I've been taught. At least it takes 2 hours. And then I have to manage with the paper 1 as well. So I was spending more than 10 hours in the paper 1 only. This is optional only. So I missed there. I didn't pay much attention to the GS part, and that's what reflected in my scores. So you have to manage it. I would recommend that I think you guys are maybe writing the next time. I think you're not, the classes, those are
there are certain candidates who are appearing this year also.
So I think please manage, if you have read before, if you have covered your syllabus 1, I think you have an ample time. But please manage GS. I think that on that front I can't share with the experience because I had a bad experience there. But make sure that you can't compromise with your optional. I feel commerce specifically with respect to your paper 1 having 100 and 125 marks practical questions. This is like a brownie points. This is where you can easily score, I feel you can easily score 300 marks. And when you're scoring 300 marks, even with the low GS score, you can make it to the list. So don't compromise. I feel like don't compromise in your optional. When you have commerce, you are optional. But make sure that you pay adequate attention to the GS. If you have time, I think I might not be the right advisor on that front. Sorry.
Yes.
When did you start making notes?
That's what I'm saying. One was when I was going through the class, I used to revise. So I had a good grip on the topic. And second, when I did the whole revision. So when I'm done with the two revision, then I started making notes. Like, for example, just a points. Like there's a points. Like if you take a Weber, let me take another example. Or maybe paper 1. Should I come with the paper 1?
Yes, paper 1.
Paper 1, for example, come to the paper 1, there is a capital structure planning. So capital structure planning, right, like these are the 3 kind of leverages. Then you have a trading on equity and EBIT, EPS. Then comes to the what are the factors that affect CSP. Then it comes to the different model, which is 5 kinds of models, assumptions, and then merits, demerits, diagrams over there, and you're done. Right?
These key points should be noted.
That's that thing. What are assumptions? There's no tax, there's no flotation cost, there is a perpetual, and this and that. That's quite easy. Just make it 6 points. I think just shorten to your points. Just make, when you're making notes, make sure that you're writing just 3 or 4 points. When you know 4 points, you're done. Because if you know 4 points, you can simply add ekada thoda sa aisa, which goes with if the question is long. Otherwise, 4 points is sufficient in any of the question asked. Maybe 10 markers or maybe 20 marker. Just stick to yourself 4 points. If you go with the 10 points, you will not be able to remember that.
Any other query? Yes.
In regard to paper 2, is there any ideal structure that should be followed for the answer writing? I understand it depends on more or less the requirement of the question, but still, is there any broad structure that you would like to suggest?
Yeah, I think there's a cliche structure that says is the introduction, body, and the conclusion, right? But here you have to make sure, so this is one. Second, you have to make sure is the tail word that we say, whether it's a critically discuss, whether it's examine, explore. There it really matters. Like I remember last time, there was a Robert J. House question asked and they ended asking of discuss. I have to criticize that model that I really didn't prepare it. Then I have to came to a 1 or 2 criticism then and there. That this is the criticism he didn't specify and he was not clear with his terms, how to develop it. It's not understandable. So tail word does just pay attention to the tail word. And third thing is understanding the nature of the question. Like if they are asking sound organization leads to the benefit of the organization, then you have to first explain sound organization, then comes to a benefit. Right? If they are saying organization culture helps in the this it has advantage, it's a kind of double-edged sword, then just 2 lines with the organization culture, and then comes with a kind of advantage, it leads to advantages, then it's a double-edged sword. And like culture in the modern organization is helping, for example, in the Google, they have the good creative learning culture, and that's why they are the innovative company that comes to the Apple. Right? That's a end.
Yes.
And for 10 markers, we have a compulsory question, okay? And in some questions come where it's totally from out of the blue, right?
Right.
Like it's not out of the blue per se, but like it's
Not prepared.
Not
prepared.
in your knowledge, sphere of
Yeah,
knowledge.
exactly.
So how did you go about? Like last time there was a question octopet model.
Yeah, this was not out of the syllabus, this is there in your book.
It is there in the book, but it was C. It was C question.
No, it was not out of syllabus for me because I prepared, I remembered the full forms before entering the exam hall. So I just entered then and write openness and the autonomy and the collaboration, I just started and ended.
So if someone is very
Like
blank,
this is if you go, octopack comes and you have no idea, you're not going to make it words, and if you attempt it, you will attempt wrong because you're out of the blue. Like there was on the same lines, there was a repertory grid. Right? And repertory grid, I had no idea, but I still attempted it because I know what is grid. Now I didn't repertory something
But
at a
then
time.
how can you say that the paper 2 you are attempting, repertory grid comes. How can you even know that it is belonging to IR, HR?
That's what I'm saying. I attempted wrong. I'm saying I attempted wrong. I took
means
it.
if you are blank about
I
any
had-
concept.
But I had time. I was not able to convince me that I have 20 minutes and I'll leave that question. I have to attempt it. So I just know what is grid, right? I just idea grid क्या होता है? हाँ, ऐसा डब्बा होता है 4 वाला. But I have to make sure कि हाँ भाई, how can I link? I know this is not OTOB. I know this is HRM and I think repertory is something retention. Let's make it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I had no choice. I have to attempt it. So you have to, if there is something which is totally out of the blue, which you don't have any idea, please skip it to the last one. If you have time, then you can make blues, but otherwise leave it. And the good point was, it was in part B, that is second section, so I can play with it. If it's my first question, I would not attempt it. It would have gone wrong impression. I know that I have attempted question well in the first part, so that impression is gone. Then I can play and I can play with the mind of the examiner. But if it octobase, which was first question, if you attempt this thing, then it's a blunder you are doing, right? You have to be like, as you say, psychological games there as well.
Right. Can you share your daily schedule? Means how do you manage your regular schedule? Revision, practice, you were attending classes also. How you manage your hectic schedule?
See, what I feel is I started very late. I quit KPMG in October 17. So I started myself in October 17 and June 18 I was writing prelims. I had just 8 months and that too myself, I didn't join any GS coaching. So what I made sure that you should have a plans. The planning component is very important. I spent 2 days or maybe 2 days. First I researched what to read and then I spent 2 days in developing the plan. What is the plan? Like world history and commerce I'm going to pick after the prelims. I don't have time for them right now. Then up to June, this is the strategy that I'll be doing. In 2 months, I have to complete these subjects, 2 months this and this. So this is a long-term plan you have to develop. Then if it comes to the short term, that is 2 months, like 15 days I'm going to end this subject, 15 days I'm going to end this subject. Then it's a medium term. Then it comes to the, which is short term, like is hafte mein, these topics I'm going to cover, and this topic I have to give 2 hours daily. And now it comes to what 2 hours? What is the optimum time you should spend or study in a day? This depends on your capability. I studied, I think, on a consistent basis 10 to 14 hours. And here what you have to do is you have to pick your best time slots. Like for example, if I share my best time slot to read is the morning hours. I used to wake up at 3. When I was coming to the classes, I used to wake up at 3. And there from 3 to 5, I used to revise what was taught in the class yesterday. because there I think my focus comes the best, and I used to revise and understand it, and then I used to come to the class, right? So this is the best time. You just pick the best time, best where your focus is the best, and pick the subjects which is tough, because there your ultimate focus and you will understand. For me, it's a history. For me, it's a paper 2 because it was a new for me. So pick that slots, and there when you feel bored, like for a refreshment, for a kind of refreshing yourself, you can pick a interesting subject. For me, it's a practical. When I'm getting bored, I just switch on to the practical. Let's pick up costing questions, right? So pick your interesting subject, whether it's in GS or maybe the practical part, and then taking the rest, coming to the back, your main subject. Reading, at least, I feel you should read 3 subjects at least in a day, so that monotony is broken. If you kind of go with the same subject that I have to read history all the day, then you will be right bored. So maybe the 3 hours, 4 hours is maximum. You can switch it with the polity, or maybe switch it with the commerce or practical part for a change. So just it depends on you, how much hours you can read, what is your best time to read, and which subject you have to do first, which subject you are comfortable in. I think all commerce students are comfortable with economics. So I didn't spend even a single minute on reading the economics. I didn't pick up a single book on economics, right? That where comes I feel that every student is different, and you have to develop your own strategy, right? That's what you have to do.
I want to ask 3 more things. What about your food management, diet management, first? Second, sleep management, right? And third, I forgot. Okay, exercise.
See, coming on to one by one, I think I will start with the sleep.
Yes.
I developed a habit. I used to sleep a lot earlier because I think I had ample time, but I made sure the 6 hours sleep is must. What happened is I developed over time 6 hours sleep, 7 hours, then came to 6 hours. And then I made a habit that even if I wake up half an hour before, I feel headache. So you have to make sure that you are having a 6 hours sleep. Or what I do is, if I'm not able to get sometimes I used to wake up in 5 hours, I didn't complete, then I made sure going back to home, I had a half an hour sleep. Like sleep, rest to your mind is very much important. Complete in the evening. I used to do 5 hours and then half an break in the during the day for a couple of times. So sleep, I think 6 hours is sufficient, or if you need 6 to 7 hours is good, but you have to make sure you are getting this much sleep. If you are not, I think you are in the wrong space. It's going to hamper your emotional balance as well as physical and mental health as well. And coming on to the food management, I think I was quite lucky that I was sitting at home and reading. So I didn't kind of...
Means, did you pay special attention to जो चने खाते थे?
Yeah, chane was a part of it. I had to avoid kind of to keep myself awake as well. मैं सो जाता था, आपको याद होगा तो. So to keep myself awake as well, yeah, it happened. You have to make sure you don't eat too much oily. And there can be a cheat days as well. But on a regular basis, don't cheat. What I do is, I had a habit which I picked from Akshay Kumar. I don't eat after 6 p.m. Right? I made sure I eat after 6 p.m. I just eat whatever I eat. Couple of times I have a meal, that's breakfast and lunch. And then in break, I can have a salads and other things.
So the message is take care of your food, oily and sugar-filled items or high carbs. That is.
And exercise is also must. If you are good with the yoga, I think I used to refresh myself with swimming, going in maybe a couple of times in a week or thrice a week, or maybe
daily exercise.
Daily exercise, I used to do kind of push-ups and a small exercise for 15 minutes on just after before bathing, and when I'm not feeling fine, just playing the music and just doing the little bit exercises. Mm-hmm. Just, it helps in your blood pressure, and it really helps, I think, in mental.
So these are equally important things. Any other question? Yes.
So how did you went for answer writing in general and specifically in paper?
Yes, answer writing, I just told you what is the strategy is. What really matters is practice. Like I said, I messed up with my GS last time, but I made sure I wrote each and every test with respect to the paper 2. When you write when you write mock test, you get an idea where is my speed. Where is my speed? What am I writing? Am I understanding the questions? My framing of the answers is right? right? I think if you are attending the classes, sir, take a class test. There you have a good practice that where I'm going. So I think writing, just write as much as you can. There you develop just a general framework. I have just told you about that, and this practice will make you help understand better where you are lacking, right?
For the GS, when did you start writing? Because we have started our preparation from May end.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I missed it. I just messed it up. I wrote GS in September when exam was on 29th. I wrote on 4th and 5th. That's it. And I got a checked answer sheet on 20th of September when it's a kind of last day. I didn't see the comments as well. So you should start, I think, when you're starting with May, you're starting with the May, right? So first, I think you should spend 6 months developing a content. What I feel is content is very much important. If you go with the answer writing without developing the content, you will be unnecessarily burdening yourself that I don't know this thing, I don't know this thing. So if you're starting with the May or June, I think till December, you should focus totally on developing the content, whether it's a GS or all the GS subjects or ethics. Then you can, if you have time, then you can start in January or February. Otherwise, not just start after prelims. You have ample time. 3.5 months is more than sufficient for writing the answers. Just practice it. There, if you are writing a 10, 12 answers, I've talked to the other colleagues of mine as well. If you're writing 10, 12 exams over the GS, which is 3 for each GS, I think you will get a idea of where you are going wrong and where you are going good. Just, I think after writing prelims, you have sufficient time to write. Don't just be bothered about that I have not written, I have not practiced for the GS mains. But prelims, obviously before. Start with the January, February.
Yes.
But at least 6 months, content development. Please not focus on writing mocks.
Your query?
So as you have said that you are a chartered accountant, then was there any strategic reason to not picking up the GS coaching over commerce coaching?
Sorry, come again?
Being a chartered accountant, you preferred commerce coaching, not GS coaching.
No.
You should have avoided commerce coaching. You should have taken GS coaching.
No, see, this is, first of all, I have a feeling, like it's a kind of my philosophy, you can say. One is, I feel every student is different. I feel coaching treats everyone equal. So I just don't want to, I went to a couple of coaching and I had an interaction with the teacher and they say like, you have to do what I'll be telling you to do. I feel like I won't be surrendered to you. I will totally surrender to you. I can't do it. I can't give you my kind of, as we say, door tere haath mein. I would be responsible. If I'm not able to make it, I would be responsible. If I make it, I would be responsible. So that's my strategy. I think everything is available on the internet where you can make a strategy. And when it comes to the commerce, being a chartered accountant, I need not do coaching as well as need coaching with respect to the paper 1. Chartered accountant ends with the paper 1. When it comes to the paper 2, it's totally different ball game. So there I joined coaching was a different, why? Because I have to develop routine. When you are coming to the class, you will be taught 10 to 20 pages. And you used to go and remember that 10, 20 pages. I think 6 months before I picked up Ranker notes and started reading, but I totally didn't understand. Organization start kara tha, meko bilkul samajh mein nahi aaya tha. Then I made a decision that I'll be going with the coaching so that I'll be reading 20 days, revising it, 20 pages, revising it, 20 pages, revising it. Routine is developed. That was my strategy.
Kesav did coaching for paper 2. And even I recommended that you should attend online classes, but he was not having the temper of attending online. He told, sir, I'm ready to waste time, but I'll come to the classes.
Yeah, because why I used to come classes, I used to tell sir also remember that if you are writing answers, if you are writing discussion, I used to intervene, I think, in 3 hours, I used to intervene in 15 to 20 minutes. I was like, sir, this happened in the answer writing. Because the interaction you have with the teacher, you develop a better understanding where you are going wrong or whether you are developing the right ideas. Because as I told you, I was in KPMG, so ideas automatically come in HRM that this happens. So I used to interact, this is right or this is wrong. So interaction does really matter.
Yes, on every question, he was having his ideas, points. Many times, most of the times, valid ideas were there. Sometimes they might not be relevant. So I pinpointed that this is not relevant. So it also gave a lot of learning that I should avoid these things. And confirmation of your idea that boosts confidence.
That I'm going in the right direction, I'm developing the right ideas. That was my reason that I made sure that I will come to class. Although I used to sleep, I think 15-20 minutes I used to sleep. But when it comes to the answer writing, like I used to wake up.
Right. So, no, yes.
So for the current affair part,
Yeah.
So anything, any specific website you followed or just randomly?
Just randomly, for example, if you came to a new concept, if you heard some concept or in newspaper or in economic times, just Google it. If I talk about like in costing or in management, there are very current topics that are going on. If you're a LinkedIn, if you are guys on LinkedIn, I could see a very much sponsored with respect to the Six Sigma going on, right? So Six Sigma, you should know what is Six Sigma, who are doing it, what is green belt, what is black belt, what is, right? So this is something that you have to Google it. If you're getting some, if you're not understanding, there are topics in the books as well. There is a small note given. So if you're not comfortable with it, that I think content is not enough. So you can Google it, diagrams. I can give you example with respect to there is a paper 2, OT mein there is a Scott's organization.
WG Scott's model.
Model. There's diagram is not there in book. So you have to make effort that either you go to the TN Chhabra or Google it. I made sure that I read TN Chhabra, and luck was that there was a question on BPR, Business Process Re-engineering last time. There's a topic in the TN Chhabra. So obviously doing extra helps. If you have time, do extra. TN Chhabra and as I recommend CB Gupta.
Even I suggest that do Google. आपकी जितनी ओनरशिप है उसका कोई कंपैरिजन नहीं है. Whatever I give, if you do Google, आपका अलग होगा आंसर.
If you develop, then Google gives you understanding. Sometimes there's a concept in the book or maybe the TN Chhabra where it's very much theoretical. When you Google it, you develop a better understanding of actually what it wants to convey, and what you develop your understanding is really important because that's what you can recall. I remember that's the positive is I used to develop an understanding of a concept that connects to me. If in particular model, if I'm writing an advantage of particular model, I'm writing that advantage which I feel is the advantage. It is not because it's written in the book. Like if I see it's a motivation, why a motivation should be there? I'm not going with what is written in the book. I feel that I used to point like it's for when it's motivation, you will be performing well. When it comes to the organization, there would be loyalty and commitment. So points comes automatically when you connect it.
For example, Six Sigma is there. In our notes, we have covered just in half page. In that half page, various terms are also covered. Green belt, black belt. So he didn't get satisfaction. So he did Google.
And then you can go, there's a DMIAC model. And there you can, when you get a black belt, a green belt and the other.
So you must have studied DMIC also.
DMIC. And then you come to the TQM, there's a diagram of arrow. There's a chart diagram that what is the determinants. So there you get an additional material if you're not comfortable topics. And the point is these are the topics which are very relevant. The BPR I just picked a couple of topics from TN Chhabra, which is acceptance theory and the BPR. Why? Because these are in the news. If you have gone through why I picked BPR, let me give you an example. When I was doing my GS, there was a news that the Ministry of Corporate Affairs is mending its system in order to ensure that there is a minimum government and maximum governance, and they are doing through BPR. I read that word there, and when I go into the TN Chhabra, I said BPR. Acha, this was there in news. And what I did, I just had an idea that what they do is they just to develop strategy and then they develop structure in order to customer satisfaction. And I wrote couple pages. Example, government kar rahi hai. Example, ISI kar raha hai. Example ye. I'm done. I think I must have scored good marks over there. Right?
Definitely, paper 2, 178 is a wonderful score.
And there I made error in repetitive grade, totally wrong.
So had you been correct in repetitive grade, you would have got at least 7 extra marks. So it would have been 185 also, right? So theory paper mein 185 out of 250 is too much, right? So any other query? Yes, you ask. Then we will sum up the session.
Like if we make a flow chart, like first auditor, if it's of a government company, yes or no, then do we need to write with it also?
I didn't understand you. Flow charts and?
See, her query is, in case the topic is very lengthy, we should make flow chart or not?
Yeah, obviously. If
her question is that if you make a flow chart, you need to repeat the same information in paragraph.
Right. Here I can tell you is depending on the question. For example, if they have asked you, appointment says only the appointment of auditor. what you can do is drawing a flow chart. First auditor for the other than the government company, and then subsequent auditors, and then you have a casual vacancy, right? So just write the flow chart. You have given that I know that these are the different things that happen. Then you can start with the first auditor, do it, and then write, and then subsequent auditor, then you can do and write, and then a casual vacancy, then you can do and write.
But take care, it is 10 marker or 20 marker.
That's what I'm saying. You have to see what is being asked in the question, whatever space, what kind of space you have. And when it comes to drawing, make sure that the diagram is neat and understandable. Right? If it is too much element, it makes no point to draw a diagram.
Yes, your query.
One final question is, how many days specifically for paper 2 you finished before the examination? The number of revisions and the time gap between like 5-day gap, like, what did you do? And how many days before? Like, sir will have a final test on end of August.
26th of August.
26th of August.
Yes.
So, and paper wise. So, how did you, last time also similar gap would be there. So, how did you go?
See,
this time, how are you going about it?
See, I made sure that I think when I was going with the classes, for first revision was with the class. Test happens when you are done with the book. Second revision is there is a OTOB test that happens, so comprehensive. Third revision was before I did it before the exam. I think I didn't write the mock. I did it again. Then for the mock, then after the mock I did a revision before ending up finally. And then in the break I revised it twice. So in all it was I think 7 revisions that I did. And it was on the 29th. I think my last revision for the commerce optional was on 22nd and 21st. 22nd and 21st September ko last I revised it. And from 1 week, 10 day ke baad, I made sure that I'll do couple of times in exam. 5 days, I think you can do a revision twice, the entire syllabus. And then you can pick the topics which is very technical, the terms that you are not remembering. There are topics like what is that? The Peter-Senge principle, which is very technical, or you can say octa-pace. Octa-pace, I specifically made it into my notes that I'm not able to remember the terms. And when I took my notes in the exam hall, that before entering, I'm going to revise this 10 things. It was on the top of the list. And I revised and went, and it was like that, it was there in the book. So difficult terms that you are not remembering, you get confused. So just make small notes कि ये नहीं हो रहा, I have to revise it again and again. So उसको दोबारा से कर लो, but जो general चीजें हैं, you please don't do it again. I think 6-7 revision is more than sufficient.
Let us now sum up. We thank
I think I have got something for you if I can. I missed out. So I think current affairs I've told you. Then I think thinkers is very much. I told you bring the thinkers from cross the subjects, cross the topics. There are thinkers which talks about. If you talk about, for example, I don't know, we have not studied. There's a system approach which says where the elements are interdependent. So one is an OT system approach. Then there is a casual model Berg-Litwin, which also talks about that your elements are interconnected, right? So there's a common philosophy that runs around among the philosophers or thinkers. So when you write an example, if it comes to the system approach, then you can simply link, this guy also said it. 7S model all talks about the interconnection of the different values and different elements. So you can write, this is also guy also said. That's what I think. That's what paid. I was not expecting so much good marks. First of all, I'll tell you, because nobody can expect this high marks. But I think I made sure that I think red tapeism I mentioned 2 thinkers. Benchmarking I mentioned 2 thinkers. I give them current topics. So thinkers, current topics is very much important with diagrams. These 3 things you please put into your answer, that these 3 things I have to write it. Right now also I write an example. Acha, this question mein this diagram can come. And this thinker and current affairs mein kya tha, ye tha. Before, just when I'm reading the question, I like these 3 things, and then I start reading the question. Then general content you can write down.
Yes, tell it.
Right, diagram flowcharts I'm done with, and the understanding part. Right, you can reduce your content, but understand the part. That what QWL is, what fringe benefits is, what is basically the welfare. उसके बारे में आपको पता होना चाहिए कि इस कॉन्सेप्ट में है क्या, क्यों है, और इसका इम्पैक्ट क्या है. And this you can generally just internalize the concept, and then past year will help you more on this front. And then practice mocks and past year. Past year is must. Past year is what paid me good marks, and mocks also. Without writing practice, you can't score. I am messed up with GS. I now understand that writing mocks is very much important.
How much marks you got in GS?
So 361. I think with 361, I would not, nobody, I think maybe the 10, 20 students are there with the 361, and that too at the, I think, behind me.
36% only, 36%.
Yeah, even the GS1 I scored 73, less than 30% marks. I would have failed in CBSE. So, notes making. And then I wrote specifically general is your SWOT analysis. Please do your SWOT analysis, what are my strength and weakness, where I need to pay more attention and where I'm good with. I think I was very much comfortable with the practical, as I told you. So I used to pick this subject when I'm not feeling good, or I spent less time. So that's what you have to do it. Planning, I do it. And then couple of psychological thing is your dedication and the self-confidence. Right? When you're sitting among the students and the colleagues, so you feel demotivated when you think that I'm not reading this content. Right? I haven't read this book. I don't know this topic. But make sure that your self-confidence does not go away, whether you're scoring good in less in mocks or not. I think I had always a feeling that I just want one seat out of 780. It's not a big demand. So just be self-confident about it that I can make it. And when does it come? When you're properly giving your 100%. Your dedication should not go away. Let me go to you an example that my best friend's wedding was there on 20th November. And we were residing in a resort in Gurgaon. But I made sure from 26 to 28 we were residing there. But I made sure on all the 3 days, I came back home, read newspaper for a couple of hours, and then went back. So I don't have to miss newspaper. And the same happened in January when my first cousin's wedding was there. I used to come back, read newspaper, and then went back enjoying the parties. Your dedication, your follow-up should not go away. If you kind of get loose on something, I think there you are missing, you are on the wrong path. And then I talk about is your refreshing. I think there is an interesting thing I used to refresh myself is, one is my family. There's a good thing that I was reciting with my family, because I think there you get an emotional support. I used to sit with my dadi, and I think in the last month I was like totally kind of frustrated. So what I used to do, I used to sit with dadi and then read. So there I used to get emotional support and refreshment. And second is my friends. In every 15 days, I used to go to my friend, and what happened is he's a science kind of guy, and he's an entrepreneur. He has a very much interest in astronomy. So what happened is told me about this black hole and this thing, and there was 2 questions in the prelims last time, and I was like 2 prelims, 2 questions, you are done. And the same thing happened this time. This time there was question on AR VR. I was like, I have seen that AR. He's got a equipment which I have done AR, like there's a dinosaur and what we are doing with it. So when you get a good company for a refreshing, then it helps you in exam. And there was an IRNSS question in prelims and mains. I was able to attempt it. So I choose the option for refreshing myself so that it is helping me as well it is refreshing me. So you have to make sure you should choose, because what I feel is when you are reading, studying, you feel like you look up to the good kind of opportunities or the good times that what I should look upon. So I used to look upon that like in 15 days I'm going to meet my friend. This was my motivation, right? I will be having a good time. Like, so when you keep your refreshing time, like I'm going to watch movie in 15 days or I may be going out. So this really helps you and keep you motivated. 10 दिन तो पढ़ना है, 9 दिन तो पढ़ना है, right? So these kind of you please look up to the sources as you feel like. You may visit your relatives. You may go out hanging. I had बीच में जाता था. I really had a kind of home break and went to Rishikesh for a couple of days. So you can look upon these things, and then your cost benefit analysis. Please do smart hard work. Just don't mug up and just don't follow and read and extra like I have to do the sources. Whatever time you have, what is the best you can do is the smart hard work. Right? I said I messed up with GS, but I made sure I spent good amount of time in commerce and I revised it. I just don't went to the multiple sources. First make sure I revised it sufficiently. Right? So I think I end with the one quote which I feel is because I love trekking. So there's a guy, Christopher McCandless, if you have seen. He went to the Alaska and ended his life there. So he said, if you want something in your life, please reach out and grab it. Nobody's going to get it for you. So you have to go and make sure you have to get it. If you want, then you will get it. If you don't want, you won't get it. I think all the best.
Thank you, Kesav. Since you are appearing, your reward is due. So we want to give reward at semi-final level. There is a culture of rewarding the candidate, but we reward at final stage only, and we will reward you with big reward. Okay, you are aiming high, and
I think sitting from that bench and sitting on this chair is itself a reward.
Definitely, and okay, we wish a good rank.
Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
we wish highest rank. Right.
Sorry, you can't predict. You just do your work. You can't predict with the rank.
Yes, Kesav, that is there. Right, fine.
Thank you.